Hi and welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode we're going to the penultimate round of the WA Rally Championship for 2023, the 2023 Safari Rally. Ah yes, the Safari Rally, something we are intimately familiar with. We ran the rally from 2013 to 2015. We've also been competitors and officials in other capacities, so we have a few clues about the roads, the area and the conditions. The Safari runs using roads that were once used for Rally Australia around the back of the Mundaring Weir, some 30 minutes drive or thereabouts out of the CBD to the east, and the actual HQ and service park is based out of Chidlow. This year the Safari attracted an entry field of just under 40 competitors. For those doing state championship, they do 6 stages, so 3 stages run twice, and clubmen would do a slightly shorter distance, completing 4 stages. There was a couple of talking points before the rally had even started, mostly to do with the roads. See, the Safari can be very loose, dusty and often rough. Without moisture, the ball-bearing gravel can be very slippery. Also, at that time of year, the breeze tends to drop off in the late afternoon, which means tackling stages in the dark could mean hanging dust. The other major talking point was actually a stage. It's called barracking. It's a long way out from the service park, some 25 to 30 kilometres. It also hadn't been used for a number of years and the condition of the roads were unknown. Well, until competitors finished recce and they confirmed barracking was very rough. For this year's event, we ran a 3-car team. Tim and John in the WRX, Glenn and Max in the VR4, and in this new WRX that we haven't made a video for, Shane and Dermot were making their debut on their very first rally. Also as a satellite team, we had Jack and Luke in their 2-wheel drive Impreza running in the Clubman series. Okay, let's get on with the rally. Stage 1, barracking, and we're on board with Cam Pusey and Ben Madlener in their Legacy RS. There are some smoother, faster sections, however, it doesn't take long for the cars to start encountering deep ruts and gullies in the road. Everything under the cars is in for a hard workout today. As predicted, the Safari was very slippery, loose and dusty as well. The conditions on stage 1 were taking a hammer to the field. Perhaps the unluckiest was Declan Madigan and Steve Kelly in their STI hatch. On the long liaison out to barracking, they did a wheel bearing and had to return to service before they'd even turned a wheel in anger. Dale Faulkner and Rachel Ferranti in their WRX had a bit of a lucky escape when they went off the road and did minor damage to their steering. Steve Champion and his co-driver Alex Salter were on their first attempt at the Safari Rally. Unfortunately, stage 1 didn't go that well and they gave their Subaru a fair knock. The drama didn't end there. Adam Critch and Neve Nairn lost 17 minutes when they had an electrical problem with their Evo 3. If stage 1 had been dramatic, stage 2 wasn't any better. Pete Rullo and Jimmy Marquette had a bit of trouble when they got a flat right rear tyre in their Hyundai i20 Rally 2. Craig Rando and Scott Beckwith clipped a drain in their WRX and lost their brakes. Shane Smith and Wayne Richardson in their WRX slid off at a corner doing some suspension and panel damage and losing about 10 minutes in the stage. Dave Thomas and Mandy Lister brought their WRX out and were hoping for a good run. Unfortunately, they broke a drive shaft and took a brake line with them and they had to withdraw after stage 2. Tony Oates and Riley Griffiths also had a bit of drama when they ran wide and collected a rock, bending the left rear suspension in their Honda Civic. Mike Gigney and Meebs Amelia Jordan also had to retire in their Mitsubishi Lancer with broken rear suspension. And we'll save the most action-packed till last. We're on board with Tim Hiles and Morgan Ward in their Subaru Legacy RS. A crest broke a drive shaft on landing, and then the next corner, well, it didn't go so well.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
With boost problems and some overheating adding to the issues, they decided to withdraw after stage 2. And that was just the first 2 stages of a 6-stage rally. The first service and a third of the safari done. The discussion quickly turned to road conditions. Within our team, things were going pretty okay. Tim and John had already damaged a couple of rims. Oh, that's a nicely dented rim, that one, isn't it? Yeah. It's still got it. Oh, yeah, you can really dent those rally tyres, really. That's all right, put it back on. No, we won't be putting that back on, no. We'll take that off. All right, we're going to change the tyres in. Yeah, it's cracked it. Yeah, it's cracked the wheel. All right, yeah. Glenn and Max commented the roads were rough, however they were enjoying the rally in the VR4. Newbies Shane and Dermot were easing themselves into the rally. They were still coming to grips with it all, and they got lost on liaison, losing some 10 minutes coming in behind the clubman. Before the second leg of the rally, a couple of competitors were having problems. Keith Hamilton and David Humphreys had to retire their WRX with mechanical issues. Joe McElroy and Chris Parrish were having fuel pump problems, and it was cutting the car out during the stage. Stage 3 was a repeat of the fearsome barracking stage. However, between that and stage 4, most of the field seemed to be less drama-filled, with the notable exception of Craig Rando and Scott Beckwith that had hard landings in both stage 3 and 4 that damaged the gear selector and the extractors, losing them boost. The second leg complete, 2/3 of the rally done and into the second service. It would also be the finish of the Clubman Rally. Within the Clubman Masters, it would be Rod Fowler and Keith Mays that would take their Peugeot 206 to second place. The Clubman Masters win would go to Julian Wright and Jeff Huggins in their Datsun 1200. Over the first couple of stages of the Clubman, a battle had developed between 3 cars. Lockie White and Kai Rasmussen in their Daihatsu Charade and Jack Ryan and Luke Dunkley in their Impreza were particularly tussling. On stage 3, Jack and Luke put the car off the road and lost some 10 minutes. They thought that was the end of the rally for them and perhaps even the series. Little did they know that Lockie and Kai would have trouble on SS4 and retire. In the end, the Hollingsworths would take third in their Suzuki Swift. Jack and Luke had amassed enough of a buffer that even with the time lost in stage 3, they still finished second. Sam Moody and Dave Christian would take a comfortable win in the Clubman in their Impreza. The last 2 stages of the safari would run in the dark, and as predicted, the breeze dropped, which meant the dust was hanging. The change of conditions would also change the face of the rally. Before we get on to State 2-wheel drive and the top 10 outright, let's have a look at where our team finished. Shane and Dermot did very well on their first rally. They didn't put a scratch on the car and they finished in a solid 23rd place. Glenn and Max had a great run in the VR4 in the challenging conditions and they finished 14th outright. I'll come back to Tim and John shortly. Onto the State 2-wheel drive championship, and there was a 7-car field. You may remember at the Carry Rally a few weeks ago, husband and wife Alex and Lisa White had a fairly large off in their Nissan Silvia. At the time, they were leading the 2-wheel drive championship and so needed to enter this event. They cobbled together another Silvia from bits and pieces of 2 cars, entering the safari to keep their championship hopes alive, and they did by finishing 3rd. Even with bent suspension, Tony Oates and Riley Griffiths managed to finish 2nd in 2-wheel drive. Scott Bennett and Gavin Turner had been tussling on and off for the lead during the day. In stage 4, they snatched it from Oates and Griffith by just 0.5 seconds and managed to hang on to it, taking the win. And that leads us neatly into the top 10 and our team. Tim and John took 10th place. They'd had a troubled day with wheels and tyres and it wasn't over. They picked up a puncture on one of the last stages, driving several kilometres on a flat, destroying another wheel and tyre in the process. Frank O'Shea and Murish O'Connell brought their WRX home in 9th. John O'Dowd and Tony Fever finished uncharacteristically further back in their Skoda Fabia R5 in 8th. Gary Mills and Mitch Gray were no doubt happy to get to the end of the rally in their Peugeot AP4, taking 7th place. Cam Pusey and Ben Madliner had a great rally, sorting the reliability in the Legacy RS and finished a solid 6th. Pete Rullo and Jimmy Marquette brought their Hyundai i20 Rally 2 to 5th. Craig and Scott had a troubled day, and on the last stage they decided to send it. It didn't quite work in their favour and they dropped from 3rd to 4th place. Alex Rullo and Ben Searcy in their Hyundai i20 Rally 2 finished a solid 3rd. Daniel Speedy Gonzalez and Damon Nicoli had led the rally for most of the way. However, on the last couple of stages, they dropped to 2nd in their Skoda Fabia R5. Drawing car 1 on the road for the Safari made Dylan King and Lee Tierney road sweeper for the other cars. Unfortunately, it put them at a disadvantage for most of the day. That was until the dark. Being car 1 then became an advantage. With no hanging dust in front of them, visibility was as good as it was going to get. Having won the Safari a couple of times in the past no doubt helped out, and the pair were rewarded with another Safari win. It was also the second time in as many rallies that a production car has won a state championship event. So the Safari Rally is always full of surprises, and again, no disappointment this year as far as that goes. Round 5 of the championship all wrapped up. We've got one more round to go, and that's off to Collie in just under a month. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the 2023 Safari Rally. Please like, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.